Most people think walking alone is a disadvantage. They assume the people who go furthest in life are the ones with the most support, the most connections, or the most attention. But Epictetus saw something different. Born a slave, he discovered a truth that still makes many people uncomfortable today. He believed that no one could truly imprison a man whose mind remained free. Most men spend years chasing things they cannot control. Other people's opinions, other people's approval, a future that was never promised. Little by little, they trade away their peace without realizing it. Epictetus believed freedom begins the moment a man stops depending on what was never guaranteed, the moment he trusts his own judgment, the moment he becomes willing to walk his own path, even when nobody is watching. In this video, we'll explore what Epictetus knew about men who walk alone, and why that path often leads to a stronger, freer life. Solitude builds your edge. The first thing most men discover in solitude is not peace, it's avoidance. The moment the noise disappears, you suddenly notice how much of your life was built around distraction. That is why being alone feels uncomfortable at first. Not because solitude is the problem, because there is nowhere left to hide from yourself. Pick one thing you said you'd do, and do it before anything else gets a say. No phone, no delay, just one decision that you don't negotiate with. Most men don't fear being alone. They fear meeting themselves without distraction. And perhaps that is why so many people misunderstand the man who walks alone. They assume something must be wrong, that he is lonely, disconnected, missing out. But Epictetus would have asked a different question. What if he is not walking alone because he has been rejected? What if he is walking alone because he has stopped following crowds that were never leading him anywhere? Those are not the same thing. Loneliness is wanting company and feeling its absence. Solitude is being comfortable in your own presence. The day being alone stops feeling like punishment. It quietly becomes an advantage. One feels like something is missing. The other feels like nothing needs to be added. So build that. Once you can move without needing someone there, you stop waiting. And that's why men who walk alone go further. The cost of borrowed approval. One of the strangest forms of dependence has nothing to do with money. It has nothing to do with relationships. It is needing other people to confirm your value. Picture a man sitting alone in his car after work. He keeps checking his phone, not because anyone promised to call, because part of him is still waiting to be noticed. Most phones don't make us anxious. We do that ourselves by checking them every 3 minutes. The project is finished, the work is done, but the screen stays silent. And suddenly he realizes something uncomfortable. He doesn't feel exhausted. He feels invisible. Most men think rejection hurts. Often it is the story they tell themselves afterward that does the real damage. It's amazing how quickly a grown man can convince himself his phone is broken, when the only thing missing is one message. When no one pays attention, you start changing yourself just to keep their attention. That's where it starts going wrong. A compass that keeps asking the crowd where north is will never lead anyone anywhere. And that's when being alone stops feeling like rejection. It just becomes your normal pace. You're not alone, you're just no longer performing for anyone. Even as a slave, Epictetus discovered something many free men never learn. His master could control his body, but he could never control his worth. That realization changed the way he understood freedom forever. You finally hear your own voice. Most men believe they are making their own decisions. They aren't. Their parents speak through them. Their friends speak through them. The crowd speaks through them. After enough years, they can no longer tell which voice is actually theirs. Borrow a mask long enough, and eventually you'll mistake it for your own face. The frightening part isn't wearing the mask. It's forgetting there was ever a face underneath. A man once took a week-long trip into the mountains. No meetings, no social media, no conversations. By the third day, something strange happened. He reached for his phone to ask someone what they thought. Then he stopped. There was nobody to ask for the first time in years. Silence wasn't empty. It was waiting for his answer. And the decision belonged entirely to him. It felt uncomfortable. Then it felt freeing. Years later, Epictetus would put that discovery into one unforgettable sentence. No man is free who is not master of himself. He wasn't talking about chains. He was talking about surrendering your own judgment. The moment you do that, freedom quietly leaves. Walking alone is not about rejecting people. It is about finally hearing your own voice beneath all the others. And once you hear it clearly, you stop needing permission to become who you were meant to be. The day you stop waiting to be rescued. Every man who walks alone eventually faces the same test. Not the day everything goes wrong, the day he realizes no one is coming to rescue him. A man stared at the divorce papers on his kitchen table. For weeks, his mind repeated the same question. What if I had said something different? What if I had tried harder? What if, then one morning another question quietly replaced all the others. What can I do today? That single question ended a conversation he had been having with the past for months. Nothing about the past had changed, but everything about him had. Years later, Epictetus was forced to leave Rome after Emperor Domitian banished many philosophers. He could have spent the rest of his life asking why. Instead, he started over in a new city and continued teaching. That is why he believed life rarely asks whether we approve. It simply places the next step in front of us. Only this moment still belongs to you. That is why men who walk alone often become remarkably resilient, not because they suffer less, because they stop wasting their strength arguing with closed doors. Their attention moves to the only place where freedom still exists. Their next decision, their next action, their next step. Perhaps that was one of Epictetus's greatest lessons. A man's life does not change when yesterday changes. It changes the moment he stops asking yesterday for permission to move forward. Why men who walk alone are harder to manipulate? Most manipulation begins with a simple fear: losing someone's approval, disappointing people, being left behind. That is why so many men say yes when they want to say no, stay quiet when they should speak, and keep explaining themselves long after no explanation is needed. Not because they are weak, because they are afraid of what happens if someone walks away. A man who has learned to walk alone carries a different kind of freedom. He no longer bargains with his principles just to keep people comfortable. He no longer changes himself just to avoid rejection. That doesn't make him cold. It makes him difficult to control. Epictetus understood something manipulators still rely on today. They don't need to control your hands. They only need to control your fears. Every manipulation begins by making you fear losing something. Approval, status. The moment fear starts making your decisions, someone else is already holding the steering wheel. Most prisons don't have walls. They have excuses that sound reasonable. That is the moment fear quietly changes jobs. It stops protecting you and starts governing you. A bird doesn't have to live inside a cage. Sometimes it carries the cage inside its own mind. That is why the man who walks alone becomes so difficult to manipulate. He listens without obeying, disagrees without anger, loses approval without losing himself. The freedom is not having power over other people. It is reaching the point where other people no longer have unnecessary power over you. And perhaps that is one of the quietest strengths a man can ever build. The men who walk alone stop needing the last word. One habit quietly disappears when a man learns to walk alone. He stops needing the last word. A younger man argues to prove he is right. A wiser man asks a different question. Will this change anything? One afternoon, a man received a message filled with accusations. Years earlier, he would have replied immediately, line by line, point by point. Isn't it strange we rehearse arguments for hours while the other person is probably deciding what to order for dinner? Lap dinner instead, he read it once, put the phone down. He suddenly realized something. Silence was answering the argument better than another paragraph ever could, and went for a walk. Nothing inside him demanded a response anymore. That silence was not weakness, it was freedom. People often came to Epictetus hoping to learn how to defeat others in argument. Instead, he kept returning to the same lesson. That is why he taught that we do not control what others believe. We only control whether we surrender our peace trying to change their minds. Not every misunderstanding needs to be corrected. Not every opinion deserves an answer. Not every invitation to fight deserves acceptance. Some battles are won the moment you refuse to enter them. That is why these men often appear calmer with age. Not because life gives them fewer conflicts, because they no longer waste themselves trying to win arguments that cannot improve their character. Sometimes the strongest response is no response at all. And few men discover that until they become comfortable walking alone. The day everything stops being about you. One of the quietest changes happens so slowly that most men never notice it. They stop taking everything personally. A friend doesn't call back. Someone walks past without saying hello. A stranger seems cold. Years ago, every one of those moments demanded an explanation. Did I do something wrong? Are they upset with me? Why would they treat me like that? Then something changes. A man who has spent enough time walking alone begins to understand a simple truth. Most people are carrying battles you know nothing about. Most of their actions have very little to do with you. Nearly 2,000 years ago, Epictetus wrote, "It is not things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them." Think about that for a moment. Two men can hear the same words. One loses sleep. The other smiles and keeps walking. The event was identical. The judgment was not. One man carried an insult for 5 minutes. The other carried it for 20 years. The difference was never the insult. The older a man becomes, the less interested he is in inventing stories that steal his peace. He stops inventing stories, and life suddenly feels lighter. Not because people became kinder, because he stopped carrying burdens that never belonged to him. Perhaps that is one of the hidden gifts of walking alone. You finally realize that not everything is about you. And the moment you stop making it about yourself, peace becomes much easier to protect. The man who needs less cannot be controlled. Every man has a price. Most people think that price is money. Epictetus believed it was often something far more dangerous. The things a man believes he cannot live without. A man was once offered a business opportunity that promised more money than he had ever imagined. The profits looked almost unbelievable. The people involved sounded confident. Success seemed almost guaranteed. Then he noticed something they hoped he wouldn't. Simple questions never received clear answers. Important details were always vague. Every conversation drifted away the moment he asked how the money was really being made. He walked away. Some people laughed. Others said he lacked ambition. Funny how people become experts on your life right before they go back to living their own. Months later, the business collapsed under investigation. He didn't feel lucky. He felt relieved. There is a difference. Many who stayed lost far more than money. They lost their names, their reputations, their peace. Epictetus owned very little. Yet some of the most powerful men in the Roman world came to hear him speak. His authority was never built on wealth. It was built on a character that could not be bought. That is why every temptation asks the same question. What are you willing to trade for this? Rust never destroys a sword in a single day. It wins one quiet layer at a time. Character disappears the same way. The man who walks alone understands something the crowd easily forgets. Anything you believe you cannot live without can eventually be used against you. Money, comfort, even the fear of missing out. The fewer things that own your peace, the fewer things can control your life. That is why the strongest men are not always the richest. They are the men who know exactly what they will never sell. Money returns. Sometimes reputation does too. Character is different. But every time a man betrays his own character, it becomes easier to do it again. That is the loss Epictetus feared most. Not losing the world, losing the man capable of living in it with honor. The last thing a man stops chasing. Most men spend their lives chasing something. A bigger house, more respect, more success, more proof that they have finally become enough. Very few notice the strangest chase of all. They are chasing a version of themselves that does not exist. A man reached his 70s and quietly admitted something to a friend. I've spent half my life trying to become the man I thought everyone expected. And I don't even know who invented that man. Perhaps that was the saddest discovery of all. He had spent decades chasing a stranger. Imagine reaching the end of your life, only to discover the person you impressed was never really watching. That sentence stayed with him, because it was true. Epictetus believed that freedom does not begin when life finally gives you everything you wanted. It begins when you stop demanding that your worth come from things outside your character. Perhaps this is where every journey of walking alone was leading all along. Not toward isolation, not toward perfection, but toward a life that no longer needs constant improvement to deserve peace. The greatest freedom is not finally becoming someone else. It is no longer needing to. Before his students left, Epictetus often reminded them of one simple principle. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Perhaps that is why Epictetus never promised an easier life. He promised a freer one. And in the end, that may be the only victory that cannot be taken away. The lesson was never about isolation. Epictetus spent part of his life as a slave, yet he understood a truth many free people never learn. A man can be surrounded by people and still be imprisoned, and a man can walk alone and still be free. That is what Epictetus understood. Freedom comes from mastering yourself. Everything else follows. And once a man learns that lesson, walking alone no longer feels like a burden. It becomes a source of strength. And the same path he once feared walking alone becomes the path that takes him further than most people ever go. If this message spoke to you, please like this video and share it with another man who may need to hear it. Leave a comment below. I choose my own path. I'd love to know how long you've been walking your own road. And if you're looking for timeless Stoic wisdom for modern life, subscribe to Move or Die Stoic so you never miss the next lesson. Remember, the man who learns to stand on his own no longer waits for life to begin. He is already moving.